And do you know if the applicant is here?
I don't see him. I think
Okay.
that I think Randy was the only one on the application, and I sent an email last week. I'm like, hey, if your name is on the application, you're getting this. That's why you're getting this email. And if you have any members of your team that would also like an invitation, let me know.
Sure.
I did not see anything from his team. Has someone else been coming in from Westmont for this?
I didn't see this one last time around. I know in the past, Ken Radke has come in. I don't know if they're doing this one though.
So for consent, Dave, attendance is technically voluntary, but I always recommend that people attend in case there's an issue or any questions. But
Sure.
if there was no issue, then and you're okay with it, then I think it's probably fine. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I looked at the plans and my understanding was there weren't any issues with the previous MBAR meeting, so it looks fine to me.
Okay.
But maybe I guess should we wait and see if they show up or
Yeah, we can give them a couple minutes.
do I need to ask for public comment too?
We can ask for public comment. You can do it now, or you could do it when
I'll
we take
wait
the
just
vote.
in case they show. Yeah. Oh, when we okay. Um, okay.
And thanks for doing consent today, Dave.
No problem. I know how it is this time of year.
There's Randy.
Looks like he's muted. Hello, Randy.
Yes.
Hi.
Wow, you guys are ahead of schedule. Congratulations.
No, it's 5 minutes. We're 12:45. We're on time. That's that too.
Way to go.
Did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, not at this point. I think we reviewed everything at the last at the conceptual, and it's the project hasn't changed. So we're just looking for the approval on the consent. So there's no new things to report.
Okay. Well, I've looked at the plans. I'm going to recommend approval. You can stick around for the meeting when we formally have the vote, just in case there's a question by one of the board members.
Okay.
But typically, it goes pretty quickly once we
Yes.
get.
That would be
Okay.
fantastic.
So we'll start the meeting at 1. And David, there isn't anything else you need from me at this point, right?
No, I don't think there's anything we can do until 1.
Okay. I'll see you at 1.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so they can hear you now. What are you trying to do? He wants this.
So Randy, how are you? John Watson.
I had to unmute myself. Good. How are you?
I'm good. Do you think I've been inspired?
I'm admiring that. Is that in your, I'm assuming that's in your house.
Yeah, well, this is all over my house. Yeah, actually it's in France, but besides that. Okay, so to try to keep it a little bit more secular here.
There you go.
Okay, my clock shows 1 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the June 30th, Montecito Board of Architectural Review. Item number 1, public comment. Does anybody attending this meeting like to address the board on any issue not on the agenda today, please? Okay, David, normally you chime in if you see
Yeah.
somebody or
I was
not.
I was looking, I don't see any hands raised, John.
Excellent, thank you. Item number 2, reconsider the circumstances of COVID. I would like to continue all virtual, given the fact that it appears that COVID is lingering but not expelled from our community. Is there a second to that, please?
I'll second that.
Any discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And David, would you please make whatever findings are necessary in the minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Item number 3, agenda status report. David, do you have anything to report, please?
We do have one change to today's agenda. I received an email from the project planner for item number 3. Peterson New Detached Garage, case number 22 BAR 100, asking that the item be bumped from today's agenda. The scope of the project will be changing and likely causing it to require renoticing of the project. And we are tentatively have it scheduled for July 28th, but that could change. So I think I would just maybe look for a motion to accept the change to the agenda that it's not going to be heard today.
So move.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Any other discussion, please? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It appears that the minutes will not be ready today. I would like a motion to continue that item to July 14th, please. Is there a motion? To continue?
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Tip, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you, Tip. I didn't see you. Okay, Montecito consent agenda. I have a conflict with this item, so I'm turning the meeting over to David.
I reviewed the plans for item C1 and which is the Westmont College News Press Box, and I found them to be acceptable and would recommend that the board approve them, provide final approval.
And Dave, just for the record, I don't see any hands up for public comment on this.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Hey, David, it's on for preliminary and final and requires public comment.
Yes. And David just said that there is no public comment. So we go ahead and I guess I'll go ahead and make a motion for preliminary and final approval as submitted.
I second it.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I recuse myself on that.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Thanks a
Item
lot.
number 6, members informational briefing. Did anybody go anywhere or do anything that they'd like to report to the board, please?
Well, I moved, and my best advice is if for any reason on the planet you need to move, you just shoot yourself first and be done with it. Just be done with it.
Okay, that's more of a comment than it is an informational briefing, but
Oh, it's very informational. It's a good
okay,
advice.
there you go. Anybody else? Nobody? Okay, excellent. Staff update. David, do you have anything for us?
Not for me. No, maybe Kimberly.
Nothing for me as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. On to the standard agenda, item number 1, and just to announce it, we will not have item 3. So item number 1, Dale, are you there, please?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to present your drawings, please?
Yes, what we have here is a new addition, a 458 square foot addition to the rear of the house. There is an existing single-car garage at the rear of the property. There is also the single-family residence, and in between, we are adding the master bedroom, master bath addition. There's an alleyway along the north side of the property, and the new addition that we're proposing does not have any windows really located on that alley side. Along with this a proposal, which doesn't show here on this layout, we're also looking to have a pool that would go between just south of the garage and south of the new addition in the area where it says 25-foot setback. And it'll be a small pool that'll be about 12 feet wide by 20 feet, 12 by 20. The new addition on the house is a one-story, and it will be no higher than the existing roof. The existing house is a cinder block exterior built in 1941 and is stucco over it. And there are some additions that were added on to the front of the building that and on the side of the building that have wood siding on it. The new proposed addition will all have wood siding on 3 sides as it marries into the existing building. The roofing will all be the same. All things will match color and shape. And right there on that elevation, you'll see that where the addition is going to, and those French doors and awning will go away. And that's where the addition will be attaching to. So we're not going any higher on our roofs whatsoever.
Is that the end of your presentation then?
Yes.
Okay, item number 1, questions, please. Mr. Sharp?
Yes, either John or David, is there a minimum pool size
Only for
presently?
having a guest house or a pool cabana.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Okay, Elida, please.
No questions?
David, please.
No questions.
Tip, please.
No questions.
And could you focus in on that pool? I'm not quite sure where it is, and I'd just like to make sure that
The pool area, right where you see the 25-foot easement, or excuse me, setback, it'll be right in that area. It'll be higher up. It'll be 5 feet from the rear property line or the east property line. And then it'll be 6 feet off of the south property line. And it'll be 12 feet going into the direction from the south to the north, which is from the south property line towards the garage. And then 5 feet from the rear property line or the east there, it'll go 20 feet towards the rear yard.
So it's in the rear yard setback,
Yes,
substantially inside the rear yard setback.
yes, we've had planning consult on it and planning has approved it. Sam
And the pool
Bedrosian,
equipment, please.
Bedison.
Pool equipment location, please.
Pool equipment location will be, if you go farther down the sheet that you see on the screen, it will be right where, just above where the existing condenser is.
Okay.
Right there, right in there, yes.
Thank you, Dale. Anybody else want to follow up? Okay, public comment for item number 1, 615 Romero Canyon Road. Is there anybody that would like to address the board, please?
We did have someone who signed up, Harmon D'Angelo.
Are you here, please?
Yes, I'm the owner.
Thank you.
Oh, you're the owner. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Well, he still has very much the right to speak if he'd like.
I have no comments. I just appreciate the board's review. And I'm looking to add this addition to aesthetically match the existing, let's call it bungalow style house, and keeping it very charming and within, the Spanish colonial look.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Comments, please, and what we should do and where we should go next with this project while you're commenting. Don Sharp, please.
I have no further comments. I think it's, if planning has looked at the location and written that off, I think everything's okay. Thank
And
you.
do you have a recommendation on how we proceed with this project, please? After
Pardon?
today's meeting, do you have a recommendation on what to do with this after today's meeting, please?
I think it should be final on consent.
Okay, Elida, please.
I agree with Don.
David, please.
I also agree with Don.
And Tip, please.
Same, preliminary, final on consent.
And I agree with that. So there is no vote today because it is on for concept, but the board recommends it return to consent for both preliminary and final. Thank you, Carmen, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2, please. Let's see if we can get done by 1:30. Item number 2, please. 2039 Boundary Drive. Jim, are you here?
It's Akiko, actually.
Kiko, okay, thank you. Please make your presentation.
Sure. This is a project within the Burnham Wood development. Just as a preface, we have been in front of the Burnham Wood board and have received their approval for this project. We are proposing no additional square footage to the residents. We are proposing to demo and rebuild an existing arbor that is off of the house. It's currently north being up. It's on the western side of the house. The existing arbor, both arbors will be demoed. There's one on the eastern side as well. The one on the east will not be replaced. The one on the west will be replaced. We are also proposing a new fireplace, exterior fireplace on the outside, which you'll see more clearly on the second sheet. And so you can see again on that western side, the freestanding fireplace at the end of the arbor. You can see the footprint of the arbor, which is 15 feet off the property line. The next sheets show some context images in terms of the look of the house, the surroundings. The front of the house faces Boundary Drive to the north. The south section of the house faces the golf course. You can see in the bottom right, the existing arbor that will be replaced by our new design in a similar location, but in a taller height. If you move down beyond, you can see other edges of the property, the side property lines. These are the existing air conditioning units, which we will be enclosing as well. Moving down to the next sheet, you can see the existing floor plan and the proposed floor plan below. We are proposing new paving as well. I think the most informative drawings for you will be the exterior elevations, which will show doors and windows being replaced. Most of them will maintain their existing size. The biggest change is on the top elevation, the proposed south elevation, where we are increasing head heights of openings, replacing sliders with bifolding doors, and changing the language from sliding to more of a traditional paned style door and window. The second elevation down shows a view of the freestanding fireplace using a slump stone veneer, which you can also see on portions of the house. The new arbor, which would be a simplified stained wood structure, probably better seen in the 3D renderings at the bottom rather than the elevation views, which really don't show the detail. It would be a similar color to the stained wood of the existing arbors. We would also be replacing garage doors and like I said, all doors and windows. We're also proposing to change the roof material. It's currently a cementitious material. We are proposing to replace that with a faux slate, which is used throughout Burnham Wood as well. Burnham Wood approved that as well. More of a darker gray tone than the current tan tone. The top elevation here is the front of the house. We're changing the front entry door slightly, raising the header height and changing it to a steel door. That is it for the architecture. I believe you also have landscape plans, and Sasha from Arcadia is here as well to review those.
I didn't see those
Oh.
when I reviewed them, unfortunately.
I don't see them either. Yeah.
Okay.
That does happen, Akiko. The world is not perfect. Okay, so I'm sorry that Sasha is wasting her time here, but please accept our apology. So does that complete your presentation?
If we look back at the second sheet, just briefly, there is the enclosure around the air conditioning units along the western side of the house, which would be a 6-foot high gate and CMU wall. Other than that, the landscape changes are minimal in size and primarily limited to, or not limited to, but primarily dealing with the paving pattern of the outside towards the golf course and adding a new fence and hedging along the golf course, which also has been reviewed and approved by Burnham Wood. So that's it.
Is that it? Okay. Questions? Tip?
I have no questions. Thank you.
David?
No questions, John.
Elida?
No questions.
Don?
No questions.
Akiko, would you characterize this house as, this is not pejorative at all, like a 1950s modern touch with some vernacular California, or how else would you do it? Where would you go with that from a stylistic point of view, please?
Yeah, it's tough. I agree with the touch of California style to it. Currently with the existing materials, I think the roof material kind of takes it in a different direction. I don't know if you want to go back to the photos, but we're trying to give it a little bit more texture. Right now, the intent with what we're planning to do with the openings, there's a lot of wall happening on this house on the gable ends. And by lifting the header heights, we're trying to be a little bit more proportional with those masses. The roof is very prominent as well. So we're trying to be thoughtful about the material we chose for that.
So with that comment about wanting to introduce texture, how does the trellis work with that, please?
Well, in the back, I think it's less, you see less of the roof because the golf course is sunken from the level that the house is at. And so, we've got a lot of beautiful oak trees back there, which really provide the ambiance and the feel in the back. And so the thought with the arbor was to have the proportions of the members be large enough to work with the massing of the house, but really not dictate a style and keep a simplicity and an elegance to it that works with just the overall massing of the gables.
Thank you. Is there anybody that would like to follow up anything before I ask for public comment, please? Okay, public comment for item number 2, 2039 Boundary Drive. Is there anybody attending this Zoom meeting that would like to address the board?
Not for this item, John.
Thank you very much. Okay, comments back, and also like we did last time, where should this project go next in terms of review? Tip?
I think it's acceptable. I don't have any problem with the new roof, windows, and back elements. So I think we probably should come back for preliminary final on consent.
Okay, David?
I agree. I think it's a very nice upgrade to the existing house. I think raising those plate heights on the doors and windows and the clean trellis are all quite nice. And I can support the project for final on consent.
Preliminary final on consent.
Preliminary final on consent,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Elida, please.
I agree. It's a nice improvement. Nice work.
Don?
I agree with the previous comments. Thank you.
And as do I, Akiko, I might advise you that this board for well over a year has not been approving projects with a paint color of greater than, with an LRV greater than 0.84, 8.4 or less.
Okay,
Trying to keep it toned down a little bit. And night sky compliant, it seems like everybody claims they are, but not every fixture is. So if you could just double check. So
You got
besides that, I think it's a very nice project. Good job. So
great, thank you.
let's get this on to preliminary consent when you are ready with the planner and construction drawings and all that good stuff. Okay?
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Okay, as we said earlier in the meeting, item number 3 has been continued at the owner's request. So we are up to item number 4, 247 Olive Mill Road. Don, or somebody else? Robert, somebody? Please. Item number 4.
Robert's here.
Robert, excellent.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so the floor is yours.
Okay, so this project is located on Olive Mill Road, 247 Olive Mill Road. The first thing that I want to point out, excuse me, is that the road is about 25 feet below the building, where the building pad is. There's a relatively steep driveway that comes up, and we've already met with the fire department and got a turnaround approved, and we're widening the driveway.
So Robert, can I interrupt just for a second? As
Sure.
you're driving from the ocean towards the mountains, is it on the left or the right-hand side, please?
It's on the left.
Very good. So it's up on the hill away from that flat area that flooded.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, there's no flood concerns on this property. If you want to zoom in on the calculations, you can see the size of the house, and we are under the guidelines by, I think, about 10%, something like that. It's about 3,900 square foot house. The lot size, I think it's 0.8 acres. Is that what it is? I can't see it from here.
It's 1.0.
1.0 acres. So yeah, so we're about what, 400 square feet under the guidelines. If you want to go to the photos next, we can take a look at this existing site. So the big one at the bottom, there was a house there. The house has been demoed with permits. So that big green area is basically where the house is going. The one on top, you can see you're coming up to the top of the driveway and those cars are parked. That's where the garage will be, just to the left of that tree. And the one on top is just another view coming up the driveway. And then there's an aerial on the left. We can go to the existing site plan. It might help understand. I think it's the next sheet. So you can see there's already the road with the big turnaround at the top. Another thing I want to point out is along the street is just blanketed with oak trees, which we are not proposing to remove any oak trees. There's a few on the top part of the site we're going to keep. I guess that's let's go to the floor plans, I guess. So we have we zoom in on the lower floor. The area to where the kitchen, living room, dining room is. This isn't a house that has a family room and a living room. It's just going to be one big room for family dining and kitchen. And it's like a story and a half. And then it drops down to be the garage on the front end. And then you have an entryway. You come up the stairs to go up to the master bedroom. You have a couple bedrooms on the east side, and then a multi-function room that's going to be out by the pool in the backyard and a covered porch on the south and west side of the house. And if you go upstairs, the upstairs is just the master bedroom. So you have a nice open space down to the entry. Master bedroom with a private covered porch, a bathroom, and a decent sized closet. And the rest of the house is single story. We can go to the exterior. If you go to the upper right is the front entrance. So you can see the front door, and that big window is in the staircase. The stone building is that two-story space that I talked about for the living room, the family room, kitchen and dining, and then the garage will all be stone. It makes a very simple rectangle shape to mass nicely. We have a covered porch coming off to the left, off the bedrooms. You can move to it. So this is looking from the east. So you see the two garage doors and that balcony off the bedrooms. And up to the left, you can see the balcony off the master bedroom. And then go in the back. So that's the west. So that's the side of that living area in the back of the garage. And you can see the master bedroom covered porch to the beyond. And then the back, the south elevation, you can see on your left the big room, which has sort of a barny feel to it with barn doors. It's going to have a high ceiling. It's a large room, and we want to make it feel like it was an old barn or something that was restored into a nice living space. And you can see the covered porch upstairs, and then the master bedroom, the master covered porch, and then the covered porch off to the right, off the kids' bedrooms. It's sandstone, plaster, wood shutters, wood doors and windows, Santa Barbara sandstone. Typical materials for this area. And that's where we're at so far.
Excellent. Thank you, Robert. Nice presentation. Questions, please, David?
No questions, John.
Tip?
No questions, John.
Elida?
Are you needing to remove any trees, especially oaks? Is anything coming out landscape-wise?
No, we are not removing any oak trees.
Are you making additions to the landscaping?
Well, of course, but we're just at conceptual at this point. So we'll once we get past this, we're going to hire a landscape architect, and when we come back, we will have a landscape plan with it.
Thank you.
Don?
But basically, you can see in the back, we're going to have a pool and some decks, and most of the landscaping between the house and the street are going to stay just the way it is, sort of natural and oak landy, so not much is going to happen there. So I hope that helps.
Don?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Robert, it seems that this is a very raw architecture, more of a farmhouse, old world, as opposed to something that's dressed up. Do I read that correctly?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and so you'll follow that through with all the details, very, not to be understood incorrectly, but a peasant feel as opposed to smooth steel trowel?
That is correct.
Excellent.
Yes, will be a rough stone. It'll be they want to have a house that has been there for 100 years.
Okay.
And so we'll do everything we can to use aged materials, probably buy aged roof tiles, and try to do whatever we can to make it feel old.
Excellent. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 4, 247 Olive Mill Road, please?
I don't see anyone raising their hand, John.
Excellent. Close public comment. Okay, so new house, 2-story element. So if we follow our normal procedure, we will have story polls. Comments, please. Oh, David, I'm sorry. I have it written,
Just
but I
waiting for you
didn't
to-
share.
Official. Well, it appears from the photos that this property isn't readily visible to the neighbors, and we'll assess that on our site visit and the story polls. But in general, I really like the style of the architecture and the way it fits the site. And I can definitely support the architecture. We just need to go to the site, make sure that it isn't impacting the neighbors. But I think it's a great start.
Tip.
Yeah, I think it's based on the drawings. I think it looks very nice. So I guess we'll go to the site visit, look at the story polls, and hopefully we will be as visually nice as the rendering. Thank you.
Elida, please.
I think it's wonderful. It's a different architecture than we're used to. I think it would be a wonderful addition to Montecito.
Don, please.
I totally agree. It's a very nice project. Thank you.
David, can you go to the site plan, please? And zoom in on the lower portion where I guess it's a pool cabana or something in the swimming pool, please. Robert, do I read that correctly that the cabana is at the rear, at the side yard setback?
Yeah, that is something that has been corrected. We will be, I know right now we're in the side yard setback with the cabana. So we're going to redesign it to take off that little L so we're not encroaching.
And how close would, okay, so let's say it is a T-shaped structure. How close is one of those upper portions of the T? Oh no, how the body, when you get done manipulating it, how close do you think you're going to be to the side yard, please?
Over 10 feet.
Okay. And I will be interested in seeing that just to make sure you do not show anything about neighbors to the, I guess that's south.
So one thing about that, John, and you'll be seeing this in the near future, the owner owns both properties.
Okay.
And we will be developing these in the next door neighbor as sort of a compound. And so you'll be seeing that in probably a couple of months. So the location of the pool is not just the location for this house, but it's also going to be in the right location for the house, what he's going to build next door.
Okay, so I still would like to see that. You know, things change all the time and properties get bought and sold all the time. So
Yeah.
if you could
Well,
just.
we will stick within the rules for each individual property.
Right, but if you could help me when we go out for the site visit to stake those two.
Do you want me to stake it?
Just on the ground. It doesn't have to be
Okay.
anything more, just so that I can see it in relationship to that property down there. Now, what about story poles, guys? We have a second floor on the left-hand side of this drawing, and then there's which is a story and a half, and then we have a single-story garage. I think just the story and a half and the L shape of the 2-story ridge only. Does everybody agree or not on that, please?
I agree.
Agreed.
So it'd be and
Agree.
one L. Thank you all. One L shape and one straight shot. Do you understand that, Robert?
Yes, I do. And I'll stake all the corners as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And back for preliminary next time, or do we need concept next time?
Well, the last time I went through this with a different project, I came back for conceptual with the story poles.
Yeah.
and everything went well, and then we went preliminary finals, and then that next hearing, things got a little weird. So I was wondering, instead of going preliminary final, could we go conceptual preliminary?
Yeah, that would be preliminary on the next hearing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
of course, we have to get through planning and all that before.
Of course. Okay,
But we're,
does everybody agree that we should give them a right to achieve preliminary by agendizing it that way? And we'll see what happens when we actually get out there. Is that correct?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, very good, Robert.
Okay,
Do
great,
you
thank you.
understand?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice
Okay, thanks, John.
holiday.
Yeah,
Okay.
happy 4th of July.
Thank you. Item number 5 and item number 6 are separate agendized items. They are separate parcels. And that's why they're separate agendized items. We did have a site visit for both of those. I always find site visits instructive. So I see 2 members. Is Rob here as well? Is the KAA design team also here, Daryl?
Yes,
Megan?
they should be on the line here. I see Rob and Esther.
Okay, so
Yes.
who wants to lead? I think for legality, we should stick to item number 5 to start with. If we could take care of that, please. So 5 only, please.
John,
Okay.
do you want to review the minutes?
I do, and thank you for reminding me. Site visit and story polls required. We did that today. MBR generally likes the architecture and site layout. Members expressed concerns on grading quantities, which we discussed at the site today. Provide a preliminary grading plan, differentiate the colors of the cut and fill, which they did. Clearly delineate trees to be removed. So, members of that team, who would like to get started, please?
We'll give a brief introduction here. Just wanted to recap. We will let KAA and Rob Madej go into the details of the design updates and landscape updates and cut fill diagrams. But in general, we did address all of the board's comments. Specifically, we added extensive cut fill diagrams that are color coded. And then additionally, we updated the FAR calculations. It wasn't in the minutes, but it was something that you mentioned, John, and we are still under 83% or under 100 at 83%. I will go ahead and let Esther take it from here to discuss the architecture, and then Rob will chime in regarding the landscape.
Thank you, Megan. So with regards to the architecture, we have not made any proposed changes to the design since the last time we showed you this project. So hopefully your visit to the site today confirms the idea or the concept that the house is relatively scaled to the nature of the site and size of the site. If you'd like to skip to the sheet 600 and 601, just want to draw your attention to those concept renderings that would give you a better sense of that scale, bulk and mass of the project. So
do you have PDF numbers to help David along?
Yes, I think we're at page 19. There we go. Oh, yes, page 18 and 19.
18?
Yeah, 18,
Okay.
sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is just, again, a concept rendering of the main residence of story poles that you saw today, indicated both the height of the tower represented here and also the extent of the second floor eaves. And while this rendering does represent a conceptual palette, that is still very much under development, and we are studying some options to head in a more natural direction with the wood siding. The second sheet is page 19 here, just shows some additional views of the main residence and also the guest house and the cabana.
And we
Hey,
did
Esther,
review it last time, so is that good enough for you, Esther? Or did you need to?
John, it might be
Yeah.
helpful. for them to show their grading, the grading.
Oh, yeah. No, we're gonna get to Rob here in a second.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and let Rob speak to the grading revisions.
Great, thanks, Esther. So next sheet, Dave, if you wouldn't mind, sheet 20 will clearly delineate with red and green trees to be relocated and or removed. We're only removing one tree. We are proposing to relocate 3 Quercus agrifolias, and those are located on the sheet. Those will, of course, be mitigated for, but we have every intention of placing those in at an important spot on the site. So we'll do our best to move those successfully. If we push on to, let's see, 24, I can't see all the way down your screen, Dave. Maybe it's a sheet 25 or 26. I want to jump to the grading quantities.
28.
Thank you. There we go. So here's your color-coded grading analysis. At the first meeting, we were at around 2,900 cut and around 2,450 fill. We have worked diligently to massage the site and reduce grading in such a way that now we've brought it down about 45%. Now we're closer to 1,600 cut and 1,550 fill. And you can see our red is denoting the cut and the blue is denoting the fill. And as we looked on site, what we've done is we've tried to balance that cut and fill. And essentially the entry to the house is at natural grade. And our cut starts uphill from there. And we'll have, you can see in this section, a small retaining wall at the, noted at the parking area, noted by the parking note there. Yeah, at its max, that's about 3.5 feet tall. And you can see the existing grade line running through there and zeroing out right at the front of the house and working its way out through the site. And then at the lower end of the house, we're kind of out of grade about 3.5 feet there. So really what we're trying to do is balance to the extent possible.
Is that all you've got?
That's all I think we have to discuss from a landscape standpoint at this point.
Okay, let's try questions then. Tip, you were out there today. Any questions, please?
Yeah, I guess I only have one question regarding the amount of import that might be needed. If Rob, you have any additional information on that?
Tip, are you referring to the question about the compaction of soils and if beyond the one-to-one excavation? We haven't had a connection with the soils engineer yet, so we don't have that information, but we can certainly bring that to you the next go around.
All right, thank you. That's all I have, John.
Thank you. And David, you also were out there today. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, John. Thanks.
Okay, Elida?
No questions.
Don?
No questions.
And I have no questions either. Okay, public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board?
No public comment on this one.
What?
Nothing for this one.
Good. And when I get finished asking, you can then chime in, please. So item number 5, 745 Ashley Road. Anybody? David? Nobody? Okay. So I'll close public comment. So we are on today for concept comments, please. Somebody? Oh, Tip.
You know, the site is so vast and it's so isolated, and I think the design of the house is nice. It's I think it's probably fitting for the site. I was just a little concerned about the grading because it seemed like a lot of moving around, but if they can completely balance and cut and fill on site, then which I appreciate that, and I think that's a good thing. And so as of now, you know, I mean, I really don't have any issues with the project as presented.
David?
Yeah, I think it was very helpful to visit the site, and I appreciate the design team providing the story poles. Seeing it there, I don't believe this project impacts the neighborhood of the community, you know, the mass bulk and scale. And I also better understand how the site really does slope and that the grading is necessary. I appreciate that they've reduced and balanced the grading, and I can support the project. where it's going. I think it's a nice project, and it works well with the site, and the heights are acceptable.
Elida, please.
No comment?
Don?
I have no additional comments either. Thanks.
I was very pleased to go out and visit today. I always learn a lot on site visits about really what's going on. I think the project is very acceptable given the vast piece of property that this has. I mean, the total 2 parcels are around 11 acres. And I know that one of the purposes of story polls is sometimes neighbors have no idea what the impact is. They were up today, nobody showed up. So nobody's public comment. So I think that this project is very nice, and I believe it should come back for preliminary the next time. Is there anybody else that has any comments about that, please?
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, and so Rob, it has been a conceptual grading only, not really a landscape theme, you know, exactly how you're going to develop it. So the next time your landscape plan will receive the amount of review that this architectural portion has had up until now. I'm sure it will be fine, but we are going to look for that. And just as an advisement, this board has not approved any projects in over a year with an LRV for any painted surfaces of greater than 84, and we are always concerned about night sky compliance and, of course, site lighting. So as you guys are developing your plans, please be aware of that. And thank you very much. Item number 6, exactly the same team, just down a little bit. So Daryl, do you want to start it again, or how do you want to do that?
I think we can have Esther jump right into the architecture.
Thank you, Megan. Let me, MBAR comments, site visit and story polls required, which we did. MBAR generally likes the architecture and materials. Members express concerns regarding the arena, which we visited today, grading and retaining walls. Provide a preliminary grading plan with the site sections, particularly the arena. If you all remember, this is the barn portion of this project. So Esther, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So once again, here with this project, we made an effort to reduce the impacts of grading on the site. One of those efforts was changing the finished elevation of the barn and also reducing its footprint by about 12 by 40 feet. So we reduced the length of the barn in this proposed plan. And you will see if we go to to the site plan, that's sheet number 4, how the barn is now pulled a little bit further away from the environmental sensitive habitat zone. So it's really trying to minimize the impact there with the grading. Other than that, the design of the barn and the 2 accessory structures has not changed in this submittal. And so that is available a little bit further down with some concept renderings on sheet 15. Those are some inspiration images there, but sheet 15 has some concept renderings of the barn. So once again, looking to keep this very much natural. We are still, of course, exploring the palette and it's under development. But, you know, trying to keep the project natural and low to grade as much as possible. And we hope that your visit out to the site today showed that as well. I'll pass it on to Rob to speak specifically about the grading quantities.
Great. Thank you, Esther. So Dave, I can see you're ready to click it. Yeah, sheet 20, that would be wonderful. So the folks who were on site had the benefit of looking at this in person. We strung the southern and western. So if you're looking at the sheet at the lower right-hand corner of the model, that's the rectangular shape, that's the arena. And we strung the south side, which is parallel to Ashley Road, and the west side, which is running left to right on the sheet. And these sections hopefully give a good sense of what's going on. But essentially, the section of fill, which is denoted in blue. We're lifting that up close to 18 inches on one side and 2 feet on the other. And that was a fairly significant change from our last go around where we were closer to 3 foot or so. You can see in these sections the proposed grade, the existing grade line and the proposed grade line, and how again we're working to balance our cut and fill. Our original grading quantities on this parcel were around 930 and 930 cut and 975 fill, and we're coming into closer 900 cut and fill balanced on this version. But you can see we've greatly reduced the height of any type of retaining wall that's required on this section that you're looking at here. On the left-hand side of that section, you can see a 4'6" freestanding retaining wall. Up in it would be the northeast corner, we have 4.5 feet of retaining, but as it runs westerly, it starts to run out of grade, but we are keeping it at a 4.5 foot height datum for architectural purposes there for a nice clean line. But you can see where we have on the right-hand side of that section, the 1'6", 18-inch retaining wall there. We've got about 20 feet of clearance between the edge of that arena and our 6-foot rustic stone privacy wall. And if we actually move one sheet prior to what we're looking at here, Dave, it might be helpful. You can get a sense of this curvilinear rustic wall that's weaving its way through melaleuca and olive and oak trees that pepper Ashley Road. And all right, the feeling along Ashley Road here is to try to keep this as rustic and as kind of rural as possible, hence this kind of curving rustic fence line that's running through. But you can start to see the dimensions and scale and location of that. And again, hopefully seeing those flags in the field let everybody understand how really low profile this proposed improvement is on the property. Having said that, you're looking at on this sheet in the green arrow, there's a jacaranda tree that sits squarely in the arena. We're working hard to relocate that with local tree movers, and there's a couple other trees that we'll be removing. Actually, a dead Italian stone pine that's noted on this sheet, and then there's also a fairly mature ash tree that sits right at the corner of the arena that we'll be removing. But beyond that, there's I think over 75 oaks on this parcel, and we're not removing any of them. So we are very delicate in our location of all of these improvements, and I hope you got a sense of that on the site as well. The only other item here that did come up during the site walk, and we should share it with the rest of the board for their benefit, is this notion of the property screening, what's happening around the edges. Dave, would you mind yeah, oh, there you go, you're already there, perfect. You can see, so on the lower portion of the sheet, that is actually the shared driveway that runs up to 745. So screening there is not of much importance. We do have some neighbors on the easterly property line, if you call it that runs kind of angularly from left to right on this screening. And there are 2 homes there, and we'll be planting very densely along that property line to give both parcels privacy, and we'll be doing that quite naturally with Rus and Toyon because of all of the native oak trees there. We're still trying to keep it as native as possible. And one other item of note, you can see that the property line screening as it runs towards Ashley Road kind of takes a funny bend and deviates from the property line, and that's intentional there. The idea is to give a little bit more breathing room to that house and kind of share this beautiful oak woodland there with the neighbor. There's a lot of space there, and there really isn't a program for us. So the thought is that this screening element doesn't have to happen on the property line, but it'll work its way through that oak grove. And with that, I'll leave it or open it back to Esther or Becker's team if any comments need to be made. Otherwise, looking forward to your comments.
You all done there, please?
All done.
Okay, excellent. Same order as last time. Chip? Questions, Chip?
No, I do not have any questions.
David?
No questions, John.
Elida?
No questions.
Don?
No questions.
I do have a question. 1 or 2 meetings ago, we had an impassioned neighbor talk to us about the shininess that some metal roofing has. I noticed metal roofing on at least portions of this project. Do you know how reflective that roofing is, please?
We do not know how reflective that roofing is yet at this stage. Again, we're just at the concept level here with the project and seeking to refine our materials for the next go around, but we will absolutely be mindful of that and see if we can find a non-reflective standing seam surface.
Thank you. Public comment, item number 6, a project located near 74 Ashley Road. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the board, please?
Nobody for this item.
Thank you very much, David. Okay, so comments and where should this item go next, please? Same order, Tip?
Well, the same with the last comment. This is such a vast site and I really don't have any problem with the design and the grading, so I definitely can support it.
David? And where should it go next, please? Tip?
Say again.
Where,
where should it go next? Yeah, I definitely think that if the planner clear the project, then it should come back for preliminary final on probably should go to the full board because there's no landscaping.
Yeah, I think, okay, very good. You're a little more generous than I would have been, but David.
Yeah, the same as the main residence. It was very helpful to see the story pools on site and to see how the neighbors are located. And I appreciate the way the design team has reduced the grading and balanced it and worked out the arena. And I can support the project where it's going and would suggest have them come back for a preliminary review.
Elida?
The screening, street side screening looks good. I'd like to see some other things, what might be happening inside the property.
Of course. Any comments besides that, please?
No.
Okay. Don?
Yes, I think it's very well thought out and the design team has done a superb job. And I would recommend it before next approval be preliminary and final.
Both. Both done?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And I also agree that it is a very nice project. I find it extremely helpful to be on site, at least for me. At one point, Rob, I had asked whether or not a pasture would get involved with this, and there was something about the nature of the horses don't go free or something, but if it is, maybe you could explore that as well, but I think it's very nice. Since we don't have a landscape plan, I would recommend to take it to preliminary only and then end up probably with final on consent. Is there a majority of us that agree with that, or do you think we ought to put it on both, please? Can you speak up, Elida? Preliminary only or preliminary final?
I'd like to see preliminary only. This is a big piece of property.
Okay. Tip?
I can go with that.
David?
Preliminary, yes.
Don?
Yes, preliminary.
And I agree. So that doesn't mean we can't get you on to final the next meeting, but let's make sure that everything is working out between them. Thank you very much. What a lovely project. Item number 7. Okay, so 999 Romero Canyon Road. This is on for preliminary and final. We have had a site visit with this project, have been discussing the fence, or the balustrade. So comments, balustrade is too heavy above wall. If everybody remembers, that was a concrete Italian kind of balustrade. Provide lighter railing design, need Welo calcs for the lawn area. One member still objects to the project. One member believes more natural color preferable for the wall. Chris, are you here with us today?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
I can, thank you. So
Great.
Where are we going here?
I think that what I did was we took the balustrades off and all the plans reflect a wrought iron fence on top of the 6-foot wall. If you want to flip to the 3D, I think there's two 3D, Matt, farther down there, right there. It shows the illustration of the existing wall with the hedge, with a full hedge at maturity, what that would look like. So the heaviness was taken out of that plan, and that was the main comment.
And the Wheelo Calcs, did you get that done?
Yeah, flip down to the bottom.
And what happened with the grass area given that, please?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was a little bit surprised because I thought we would have to do some extra work on this or to look at some other alternatives. But this format is the one that actually my consultant was one of the people that actually helped develop this, and it's a little bit more graphically oriented. What happened on this site that helped it out, that mitigated for some of the turf, was that there was existing turf that was taken away from the sports court, and also there was existing turf on the areas that were demoed, and also on the slope above the sports court there is a lot of drought tolerant plant material already part of this plan. So this was not a water cap for just the new areas that were installed. We took a look and I checked with the water company and said this is the best way to do it was to look at the whole site. So that's what we did. And
as a result of that, what happened with the proposed lawn area before, please? The big rectangular.
Well, if you go through, I don't know if it's on the second page or the first page, I don't have it in front of me, sorry. Well, it's on those colored pages there. There's 2 pages worth. Down at the bottom, I believe.
Oh.
You had it on the screen, but there was 2 pages of it.
What are you trying to go to?
Something to do with the floor plan look, site plan, something.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're looking for the water couch, right?
No, I'm just asking the simple question, what happened to the quote unquote lawn area? Did it remain as you proposed a lawn, or did something else have to happen, please?
I was able to actually, with the water couch, I didn't have to change it. And it and I know that sounds weird, but it was because we used the whole site as the parameter with the parameters. So when we threw down all the square footages and the water usages, it penciled out.
Thank you. Okay, are you complete with your presentation?
Yes.
Elida, comments, questions, please. I'm sorry.
Questions. Can we go back to slide 10? That we're on. Actually, we're on it. Chris, number 5. I'm trying to get my bearings. Number 5, is that the wall below the new wrought iron part?
Yes. Yeah. Originally, we had it to show that you could see the full wall, but ultimately, we wanted to show what it would look like down the road with a hedge in.
Okay, because there was another slide farther up that showed the maybe that's it.
There it is.
Yeah, so now we see more wall than we saw before.
Well, the wall's still there. We're just showing it with what you would see after. I mean, technically,
So
it could be
the bottom picture shows the vegetation of the whole wall, so we don't see that much of exposed white wall. Is that
you won't see that? You will not see very much of that wall at all.
Great. That's all I have.
Excellent. Don, please.
No questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. David?
No questions, John.
Tip?
So in a way, you are lowering the wall from 9 feet to 6 feet with the iron?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No question.
And I have no questions. Public comment. Item number 7, we have had public comment in the past. I don't know if we still do. 999 Romero Canyon Road. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board, please?
Not this time, John.
Thank you very much, David. I'm going to close public comment. Okay, we are back here for both preliminary and final. So, Elida,
I have no comment.
and are you ready to vote for either preliminary and final or both?
Both.
Both. Donald, please.
Yeah, this project has certainly come a long way, and I would be happy with both. Thank you.
Okay, David.
I agree. I think that the change to the metal railing is a vast improvement, and it's very helpful to see how the landscape's going to help mitigate that wall. And you provided the calculations for the lawn area, so I can support preliminary final.
Tip?
Nothing more to add. Thank you.
Okay, I have some have had problems with the rectilinear quality of this up in the hills, and I do not believe it conforms with the guidelines. I've expressed this before, and I will be voting against this project because I don't think it does meet the guidelines. But I am here ready for a motion. If somebody would like to make a motion, please. Somebody?
Well, I would like to make the motion for approval as submitted.
Preliminary and final?
Yes, preliminary and final.
Okay, great. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, last item. There is a memo, and this is on for both preliminary and final as well. The minutes project is, as proposed, is acceptable. Concerns regarding the density of development with future build out noted on plans as under separate permit. Requested future development not proposed under this permit. The pool, equipment, hardscape be depicted on this plan. And I'm not sure who is representing this project today. Can somebody, whoever it is?
Kristen.
My name is Kristen Stoyanova. I'm an architect with Anacapa Architecture, and I'm presenting this project today.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Kristen, as I mentioned, project architect for this residence. I have been hired by Eric Ryder and Kelsey Cage, who are the owners of this property. This project was formally presented to you at a conceptual level on January 13th, 2022. The comments at that time were favorable for the project, and we've continued development to achieve a CD level documentation with the hopes of progressing to a building permit submittal after this presentation, and we are hopeful for your approval. So because we are working on a modification for the accessory dwelling unit and pool, which as a element of its conditions of approval, it will be required to come to MBAR for both approval on the ADU portion and the pool prior to basically a presentation to Planning Commission and their approval. Cassidy Walsh was our former planner on the project. She has since left her position, and Christopher Schumacher has been assigned as our new planner. Again, because the pool and the ADU is going to be presented to MBAR on a separate agenda, prior to relief, Cassidy asked us not to show these items, those items under the modification application as a part of this presentation. So we're currently submitted and awaiting agendization for those items. The project that we are here to present today is a renovation and small addition to an existing single family residence. Our scope is the same as it was before. It's a 58 square foot addition in the area of the primary bedroom, new landscape and hardscape, replacing windows and doors, and new exterior lighting. Our clients are a young, recently engaged couple whose goal is to renovate and create a home for themselves and a future family. And as the ADU and pool portions require your review as a condition of approval for the mod, we'd like to move forward with this renovation addition as a standalone for today's hearing. We're here to request preliminary and final approval for the project. And I would say for the most part, as I mentioned previously, this presentation shows development and continuation of the design that you have already seen. I will keep this presentation as short as possible, and I will point out any new items. I have included a coordinated structural and progress MEP set for your review if you'd like to discuss those items. And Chris Gilliland of Common Ground Landscape will be presenting on the landscape portions of this project. So
David,
just to, sorry,
excuse me, please go ahead.
Okay. So the quick flip through of any aspects. So this is our cover sheet. So if we can go to the next slide, please, for project data.
David, I think you should just, give a couple of seconds, and if any member of the board wants to jump in, please just jump in and stop David from continuing his moving through this, please.
So you want to address the FAR real quick before I move on?
Yes, so the FAR, much of this residence is existing non-conforming. It is for this area and its setbacks, which we will look at on the existing site plans. We are currently at 114% FAR. The area of addition, again, is 58 square feet. Has not changed from the last time. Our FAR has not changed from the last time. There has been no other changes to scope of work or square footages since our last presentation. Just as a reminder, this is a charming cottage style single story residence. It was constructed in 1924. It is not deemed historical at this time. We hired a historian, we had him run the analysis, and there was nothing there. It is located in the hedgerow of Montecito. You will note that much of the residence is surrounded by about 14-foot high hedges, and none of the existing single-family residence is really visible from the street footage. This existing site plan shows the existing areas to be demolished. There have been no changes, but you can see based on those setbacks how much of the existing residence is inside that 50-foot setback from both Lingate and Monte Vista. Next slide. There's no changes here. This is our demolition plan. You'll note that majority of the areas to be demolished are areas of windows and doors, including the shutters, which make those windows look a little bit larger. Next slide, please. This is our existing roof plan. Next slide, please. This is our proposed roof plan. You will see the very small area of addition on the left side of the plan, showing the area of addition and also a compensating setback off of the courtyard. Next slide, please. There have been no changes. These are formally presented existing elevations, and the red indicates the windows and doors that we are demolishing to replace. Next slide, please. These are the proposed elevations. Again, not much has changed except development and indication of just adding more detail and call outs. Next slide, please. Next slide. We have added in building sections as a progression towards our CD level set. Next slide, please. Our next slide is our typical wall types on the project. Our goal is to match the finished structure and character of the existing walls, eaves, etc. on this project. So we are patching and repairing kind of where needed. We have added in a window and door schedule. So these are just typical details for both of these elements. And A900, the next sheet, is our visual fixture and finish schedule. This was formally presented for your approval. With our planner, we vetted and made sure that we were presenting a dark sky compliant light fixture, which was present on our former presentation. The colors indicated are just meant to clean up the exterior. There have been no changes proposed to this palette since our first presentation. And this is our preliminary landscape plan. And Chris Gilliland is here to present and speak to this item.
Thank you, Kristen. You guys are moving fast today, huh? All right, so let's walk you through it. Maybe we can zoom in just a little bit. Okay. So just tuning in. So if I mention something that Kristen already did, I apologize. Just tuned in a minute ago. But basically, the landscape, I mean, it's kind of sort of French country style right now with a lot of heavy plantings right up against the house and overgrown, and the property is kind of in need of a refresh. So really most of what we're keeping and the important hedges along the outside, and actually to that point, the existing current line of the interior of the hedge is shown kind of here where I'm marking in red. So what I'd like to do is actually, because the hedge now is almost 5 or 6 feet, maybe more wide, I'd like to square that up with the house. So a new edge of hedge here, maybe right before construction, we prune it. So by the time it's construction's completed, the hedge has grown back in. We would not touch the outside of it, so you'd retain the privacy. So that was one recommendation here, and that also gives us some more space on the interior of the property. For Kristen, did you happen to mention the pool at all? Or should I?
Yeah, we will be coming back for prelim and final and concept for the pool and ADU. So I've asked to kind of like leave off those elements on this plan, but Chris, if you'd like to speak to its future location. Yeah.
So currently we are showing this as a little activity or lawn space, but this is the proposed location of the pool once that comes along with the ADU.
Again, because the modification for the pool and ADU will be presented to you, we're not anticipating that it's a guarantee. This would be our proposed site plan and would move forward even in the inevitability if that didn't get approved. So.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you. And so then kind of walking through the site here, we have this, this is a new gate location. So we come in we try to keep as much permeability as possible. So the only real hardscape areas are where the most traffic is. And that's kind of down at the bottom of the page here to get into a new trash area in this location, and then up to kind of the main entrance that the owner uses. And then in the courtyard area, just to keep usable, that'll be kind of a stone tile over a concrete sub slab, and same with the new sort of entrance off the street there to the actual front door. Otherwise, all these sort of gray areas that you see would be either like a shale or a gravel of some sort. Let me clean this up a little. So basically coming out of the driveway gravel area, new screening hedge just to, sort of create a sense of privacy where this outdoor dining table is located. And then just the pathways sort of meander around. And it's just basic circulation around the site. We have added a low hedge here, another hedge here, just to sort of focus you into the front door. And a new fence and gate for the dog. So that's here and here, just so he doesn't have free reign of the entire site, but just stick to the backyard basically. And some raised vegetable beds in the back. Maybe a low storage area. I know there's some windows there, so just something, because there's not much storage. And so that might be a good little infill spot for a little storage there. It's a small seating area. And then in the courtyard, new fountain element in the middle with a little activity lawn space around it. And outdoor sort of living room with some umbrellas for shade because it is south facing. Previously, the courtyard sort of ended here with a couple steps up, and I wanted to kind of incorporate this doorway on the same level as the rest. So now this is sort of our new shape, and so that this, I believe this is an office of some sort, so that can have an easy access out into this sort of private courtyard zone. And So, I guess there's actually some really nice mountain views from this location, kind of looking out this way. So once the pool goes in, thought it might be a nice feature to have sort of a specimen palm/cycad garden in this area. There is an existing sort of past peak orange tree right now that would be removed. It's actually kind of blocking the mountain view. So we would just replace that with a nice sort of background to look across the pool to some nice specimen palms and cycads and that sort of planting style. So that's about it. I know we're here for prelim and final. I didn't really have time to do all my landscape CDs, so I'm hoping that we can get a prelim on the landscape and maybe come back on consent if possible for the final. But that's kind of the landscape in a nutshell.
And Kristen, do you have anything more to add, or is your presentation complete now?
The rest of the sheets for this presentation are our reference sheets for mechanical and structural. I can do a quick flip through if the board would like to see them.
I have looked at them and I don't think they're particularly relevant. Thank you for including them, but so
my pleasure.
With that, are you done?
I am complete, yes.
Very good, thank you. Don, questions?
I have no questions.
Elida?
Chris, I'm embarrassed to say I don't know what PA stands for on these drawings.
Sorry, yeah, planting area.
And secondly, with all these new palms coming in, are you thinking of going with a tropical overall theme to this property?
Not necessarily. No, I think just maybe around the pool area. And otherwise, I want to be more drought tolerant. So I haven't gotten, I think we have a preliminary plant list up at the top of the page, but not subtropical throughout. That's not the intent.
Okay, thank you, Dave. That's fine. Thank you.
David? Excuse me, Tip?
I have no question. Thank you.
And David?
No questions, John.
Okay, let's, as long as we're here, let's stay here. Chris, if I were to make the comment that this might be construed to pave over paradise, what would your response to that be, please?
As far as what, the new layout of the landscape?
The amount of hardscape, you know, all of walkways, minimization of planting areas.
Well,
buildings.
I would say it's a property redevelopment, and I don't think we're reducing too much. I mean, right now there is in the front yard, there's a lot of lawn. Actually, there's a lot of lawn all the way around the house, which we want to minimize. But I think for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, Kristen, you can tell me this, but most of this is lawn. And so I'd like to minimize that because of the water issue. And then we do have I think a pretty decent balance of planting areas and hardscape. So I guess I would, you know.
Okay, and I think it's PDF page, I'm not sure. It was where the windows and door schedules are, please. Kristen, if I were to say, it looks to me that these are very hard edge details where I would have expected a much softer, rounded cement plaster for the period of house that I think this is. Now, I may not understand what house you're trying to make, but could you comment about what my perception is a lack of consistency between architectural style and the detailing, please?
Sure. I would say that currently the architectural style of the home is cottage. We do have wooden windows that are framed and expressed that way. They are painted almost a teal color. Our intent is to go with steel divided light windows and doors. It's a little bit of a cleaner look, but we still think that they are a historic contemporary for this style of residence. We are taking it into probably a more cleaned and refined version of this house. I would say that we are willing to incorporate some of more softness in like the transitions between those openings, but our goal is that to get as much light as possible into the house for these owners. We're not doing major renovations major reconstructions of an existing structure. Our selections of windows and doors are just meant to kind of like open up a lot of the openings that are already there. I think that they will look honestly beautiful in place on this residence, and I think it's just an architectural cleanup.
Very good, thank you. And the finish schedule, the color, I apologize for not reviewing that earlier. Do you know what page that is, PDF page?
Yeah, it's this.
Yeah, can we look at the lower right-hand corner, please?
Yeah.
Okay, what is the name of that? Color, atrium white. Okay, anybody else got any questions here? Public comment. Is there anybody that is attending this conference that would like to address the board on item number 81515 Lingate Lane, please?
No public comment.
Thank you very much. I'll close public comment. Okay, we are on for preliminary final. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit. I don't see that we're fully there for final on both pieces of this project. We have been told repeatedly that we cannot offer a split, landscape comes back, architecture does not. So we've got to keep the bundle together. So comments, please, from Don.
I have no further comments. I think it's a good project. I think the landscape architecture is very well thought out. Not concerned about the amount of hardscape. I think there's enough varying other issues that mitigate that. So I think it's a good project, ready for final.
Okay, excellent. Elida, please.
No comment.
Tip, please. Tip.
Probably ready for preliminary.
Speak up a little.
I don't have a problem with the project. I think it's probably ready for preliminary approval.
David?
I don't have anything to add.
I also believe it's only ready for preliminary. Chris volunteered that he didn't have CDs here. That is required for final. We cannot split it unless you guys want to file for a brand new application, which obviously you don't want to do unless you are a masochist. Are you?
No, we're coming back again for another portion of this project.
Yeah, so you're a masochist anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
So my comment is I would like you to consider the detailing on the project in a way a little bit more than has been shown. I would be extremely surprised if the contractor doesn't come in here and strip 100% of the exterior finished material. You just don't want to patch in and patch in and patch in and patch in. It never works. It's cheaper also to take it all off. How smooth, how hard, could you please just really get that properly drawn? The LRV, this board has not approved anything with an LRV for paint color of greater than 0.84. I am not familiar with the color that was put on there. So put on there, please. I disagree with Don. We had about the amount of hardscape and things, particularly knowing that we may or may not have a more building on here. We reviewed a project at the northeast corner of Miramar and San Leandro Lane. Chris, I think you might want to drive by there. One of our primary comments was how much hardscape there was. It is currently in construction, so it's a little hard to see where they're going to exactly end up. But they also had a garage parking area on a side street and the main entrance on 90 degrees, just as you do here. And they also had significant amount of circulation, et cetera, that basically, at least in my opinion, was paving over paradise. And I'd like you to take a look at that, work with your clients, come back with something, and figure out something on that, I hope. And with that, I also believe that it is ready for preliminary, but not final. But if it is for preliminary, not final, do you want this project back at the full board, considering the landscape has not been really presented? I mean, we have a concept landscape plan. I wouldn't even call this a preliminary landscape plan. What do other members of the board think, please?
I believe the landscaping come back on, well, since we really don't have a landscape plan, that probably should go to the full board.
Full board? That's where I think it ought to come. I apologize because it's, you have to wait around and all that. But anybody else have a feeling about that, or is that just Tip and I, please?
Well, John, since you've rung in about the hardscape, that concerns me as well. So I'd like to see a more detailed landscape plan.
Okay, so let's get back here for final at the full board, but I do believe it's ready for preliminary. If somebody else agrees with that, would they please make the motion?
Sorry, could I get?
I'll move for
Wait.
preliminary.
Sorry.
Who wanted to talk? Go ahead, Chris.
I just wanted to get a little clarification on the hardscape comment, because maybe you could give me an example of where some of the hardscape could be eliminated. I mean, I know that on the west side over here, this looks very hard because it's sort of back a house and it's just going to be mostly gravel. So that contributes to that. But really, I mean, I guess we could make the entry walk a little thinner. This is just a 3-foot walkway coming through here. And I suppose we could maybe eliminate the pathway around the pool and just make all this planting. But I guess, the deck was an architectural design, and otherwise to me, I don't know. I mean, it's a tight lot. And so we need this circulation here. But I did add a couple planters here on the alleyway. Those are not currently there. So I tried to soften this area up a little bit. But if anyone has any specific recommendations about, or maybe more clarification on that comment would be helpful.
Okay, so Chris, as you probably know, in the state of California, local jurisdictions are required to come up with a general plan, then a zoning ordinance, then guidelines in that priority.
Mm-hmm.
Our general plan, it's actually called a community plan in our area, is to maintain and preserve the low intensity, semi-rural residential character of the community. My sense of looking at this is it's more about the Upper East Side near the Mission than it is about Montecito.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it's a small lot. I understand that the state of California has its own attitude with things like ADUs, but I still hope that we can find a way to maintain that low intensity residential semi-rural, not urban. And my sense is this is getting up close. Now, others may disagree with that. This is, there are not hard and fast rules here, but if you could just please look at it, see if you can go on over to that property in the northeast corner of Miramar and San Leandro. The last time I drove by, it was in construction. I don't know where it is right now. I haven't been by for over a month. So do I have a motion for preliminary approval on this project, please?
I will so move for preliminary approval.
Okay, and with the applicant to study the landscaping more? Don,
Yes.
and the finish, and just pull together the finish. Kristen, I'm not saying you're not right. I just, please I'm not so sure you really have the whole thing grabbed yet in your finish details, okay?
Thank you, John.
Did I get a second on that?
No.
Okay, I seconded it. Okay, any further discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. We'll see you whenever you can get back on the agenda. Do I have a motion for adjournment, please?
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
And
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2:35. Nice
Woohoo.
going, everybody. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a nice holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, everyone.